Okay, so we're back with our 2012 R2 server. So this was a template that's been cloned into Mel VBR. So it's part of task 2. So the server's ready to go. We just need to give it a local administrator password, join it to the domain, give it a network address, and so forth. And we'll go ahead and install Veeam. So let's get started. So here we are, 2012 R2 installed from the template, and we're just going through the basic setup here. I'll fix up the key a bit later. There's the end user license agreement, which we accept. This is the local administrator password, and hit finish. I really like the 2012 R2 server. I found it quite snappy and quick and efficient. I know that 2012 R2 is probably phasing out in most environments these days. For I think we've got server 2022 out there now. So let's have a look back in our diagram. So this is the VBR server. So the address is going to be 10.11. So let's get that up and running. Into the IP address. Hit our numlock 192.168.10.11. 24-bit network. Okay, gateway's 10.1. And we only have one DNS server in 10.10. That's Mel DC1. Done. Network sorted. Next bit is to give our server a name. So we'll just do this. Mel VBR. Now again, I'll just do the name first. We'll join it to the domain after a reboot. I know it takes a little bit more time. It's just my methodology. Certainly know that most people probably change the name, join the domain, change the computer name, then join the domain all in the one hit. For some reason I'm not sure why, to be honest, but I've just done them separately. To local server and change this to domain, jtairlines.internal. Done. And we do need to provide the password. So we've only got one domain admin account at the moment. We'll probably change that up soon. Most organizations these days don't use the administrator account or the default domain administrator account for anything. At least you probably shouldn't. And we'll restart that. So let's go back to our domain controller. Let's open up Active Directory. So we've seen this before. We'll see a couple of servers here. I've got another virtual machine that I've already created. This is in preparation for another video coming up. That's the Exchange 2010 installation. You might be wondering why Exchange 2010. I'll give you all those details once we get to that video. So here's my servers OU. So this is a server, not a client computer. So I've got client computers in here, just the one, Mel PC1. And now we have the Mel VBR server. As a matter of fact, while I'm here, no, actually I'll do it later. Obviously we've got all our user objects. So let's go back here. Mel VBR is up and running. Let's log in now with the local administrator, the domain administrator account. Now again, if you type in administrator, it's going to think you're talking about the local administrator. So you'll see there it says signing into Mel VBR. That's the local account. We don't want that. We want the domain administrator. We'll change this up at some point later, but we'll look in this way. Now the virtual machine. Whoa, there's my cat, if you can hear him in the background. 1 second, I'll just attend to him. Okay, I think he's disappearing. Probably heading to the food bowl. Okay. Now you might remember I created this virtual machine with an additional 300 gig disk space, which is going to be used for our Veeam repository. I will go into disk management and prepare that disk now. I, like probably others, like to keep my drive letters in a bit of a logical order. So I want my disks to start with C, obviously the operating system volume. Then I want this to be D. At the moment, the virtual CD-ROM is D, so I'll change that to E. You don't really need to do this. This is just a little bit of OCD on my part. And then we'll get this 300 gig disk online and initialized. So it's a two-step command. So right mouse click online, right mouse click initialize disk, and I choose the GPT partition table disk 1. And we can see this volume is now ready to be used. Simple volume, the full capacity of 307,000 megabytes. Now we can choose D as the drive letter. This is a bit of a contentious sort of conversation about the file system that you use. I highly recommend the REFS volume for pretty much all of our Veeam backups. REFS provides some block cloning technology, so we'll see in a later video, but when we use the option to create, again, this might not mean much to you right now, but we'll do synthetic full backups and things like that, GFS backups in Veeam. Having an REFS file system will allow you to do these type of synthetic fulls, GFS fulls, without actually doubling or consuming more storage than you need. I'll provide a little bit more content around this at a later stage, but it's important to get this right straight off the bat when you're selecting your volumes. So REFS, and I will just give it a volume label of Veeam repository and a quick format. So yeah, REFS provides basically provides storage space savings if using this. So anything on this volume, if it's needed to be copied again to create another. So for instance, if you make a full backup of one virtual machine and it's 100 gig in size, the first backup is gonna use up 100 gig on your disk. But if you were to make a secondary backup, like a change backup, but it's considered a full backup, and say there was 5% change, so all of a sudden that VM is maybe potentially 105 gig, it's only going to utilize an extra 5 gig of additional storage to make a second backup of that virtual machine, not another full 105 gigs. So it's quite smart. That's what REFS assists with. It's only within the volume itself. If you were to copy or make a full backup to a different volume, you don't get that space savings. You'll end up using 105 gig on a different volume. But it's quite useful. It's definitely recommended from the Veeam guys. It serves a really good purpose. So that's why I choose REFS. The only gotcha or something to think about, although that's going to change with an upcoming release of Veeam, but should you for any reason need to move your backup files from this volume into a brand new volume, say you're doing a storage migration or something like that, all those backup files that have been reduced in size will actually be reinflated or inflated to their full size. So in the example I gave before, where you had 100 gig for the first backup, 105 gig for the second backup, but only 5 additional gig was used, so it's 105 gig in total. If you were to move those two backup files into a new repository, you would end up using 205 gig of storage space on your new repository. So that's the only gotcha to think about, but that is changing in an upcoming release version of Veeam. But for now, that is a little bit of an issue sometimes when you're doing some migration. Um, so just something to think about. Okay, let's move along. Obviously, I've still got this little graphical issue with my virtual machine. I'll probably take this offline just to see why that's happening. But I think I can click next now and finish. And the format did not complete successfully. Let's see why. Too sure why. Let's format. Do a quick format. Try again. Format did not complete successfully. Just trying to think why that might be the case. This looks a little bit different. Let's start again. I know, Windows unable to complete the format. Okay. Delete the volume. Let's just try again in case something I'm missing. FS, I just won't worry about the name. I just want to get this to work. That did not complete successfully. Okay, this is our first. Let's have a look at our disk. Doesn't seem to be any problems there. Let's have a look on the actual drive, Mel VBR. It's the main disk there. Should see another disk, which I don't know if there's the main disk here. It's the clone of the template. This is the second disk. That looks okay to me. All right, let's troubleshoot this and delete the volume. And let's turn it offline. Let's go into our settings and let's remove it in case there was a problem. Happy, good. What I'll do, just give it a reboot just in case something a little snagged in the operating system that's not happy. And out of every time I've created a virtual machine and added a disk, this might be the first time I've seen a problem. But let's see if we can sort it out. Virtual machine back online, back into disk management. Let's add disk again. I don't think it's a capacity issue. Now, it's 358 gig, and it's thin provision. So even though I'm assigning 300 gig, it's not really 300 gig being used. So let's go again, 300 gig. Next, done. That pops up into the OS straight away. Fine. Initialize disk, GPT, simple volume, D drive, REFS, and still the problem. Let's see if we were to do it in NTFS. Not a problem. It's not happy with REFS. I just wonder, there are different versions of REFS, and I've just completed a full update on this virtual machine. I just wonder if there's any issues that. Let me take this offline. I might just stop the video for a second. I might see if I can find out if that is actually the case. There's a problem with the REFS versions, and I'll come back in a sec. Okay, so still no luck. I just did a quick little bit of research as to why I might have been presented with that error message. I don't recall ever having that issue, but I've got a quick workaround, and I might just use that for the time being. I'll just remove these. So just while I was offline, I was testing with a few different disks. Someone might be able to explain as to why it's not working, but I did get it to work if I used a SATA disk instead of a SCSI, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. I will definitely research this and have a look at my other labs and see how I've got things set up there, but I'm pretty sure I use SCSI everywhere else. So let's give that a quick go. So format, ready to go, new simple volume, D, RFS, and I'll just call it Veeam repo, and yeah, now it's working. So not too sure, but anyways, I'm happy with that for the time being. So that's our VM prep. So we'll get into the installation of the Veeam software.